Hello everyone, I'm Ricky LaVon, author of the book Repeat Offender. There are 3 short stories that are connected to this book and are free. In this video, I will be reading the short story, I Love You Abigail Help! For more on the Repeat Offender or to read the other short stories and free chapters, click on the links in the description below. Thanks for your support and enjoy. I Love You Abigail Help! A Repeat Offender short story. The storm clouds came in and the sound of rain patted against the window and roof. It wasn't an unusual storm, but a cold one. At some points the wind howled through the trees and the flash of lightning gave the leaves an ominous look. Pastor Clayton Colley didn't mind the oncoming storm. He lived in Ohio all his life, so this was nothing new. He would have preferred being there at home with his wife, Abigail. They were not divorced or separated, but she left due to a rash of break-ins in their neighborhood. The pastor assured her it was a few youths vandalizing the area. He told her the news was making it sound much worse than reality. Most of the vandalizing happened to vacant homes. She didn't care. Abigail was nervous. He decided to stay home for a while to show her everything was okay. Abigail lived with family in Wheeling. Pastor Colley liked the West Virginia city but didn't care much for the casino. He felt like gambling halls brought down a town's morale compass. To Clayton, casinos were a haven of immorality, crime, and suspicious behavior. He was against Ohio's ballot for casinos and preached against them in his sermons. He felt victorious when the first ballot failed. However, just like the oncoming storm, he realized that having a casino was only a matter of time. He didn't care of the glitzy hotel that would open on the west side of Columbus. He was happy that he lived on the east side, so at least whatever problems would hit the city, he wouldn't be near them. Pastor Colley, head minister of the Everlasting Hope Christian Church and avid fan of Cleveland's basketball team, sat by a window to watch the storm. He was at peace with his surroundings. It shortly stopped and the wind would dry all traces of moisture on the cars and homes. From a distance, he could see another storm brewing. He assumed it had to be an hour or two away. Colley didn't mind and sat there for a while drinking hot chocolate while Cavaliers basketball spewed from the TV in the background. His thoughts went to earlier that day and how he saw a few people counseling or going over church ministry ideas. EHCC had quite a few retired people who would see the pastor during the day to talk about better ways the church can grow and serve the community. Others came in because they needed help with personal problems or situation. One person, Henry Hall, came in earlier that day. Colley's mind troubled when his thought turned to him. He knew of Henry's addiction to alcohol, but his earnest desire to be free from the liquid drug. Stacy, Henry's wife, also had an alcohol addiction. Due to her kidney problems, the addiction took a hard toll on her body. Colley figured to help Stacy by keeping her busy and mind off her condition. He hired her to help edit the book and implement ideas for a smoother church service. Pastor Colley blew out his sigh. Guilt overcame him and he sipped on his hot chocolate. The TV was on, but the sound was so low his heartbeat echoed louder. I hope I did the right thing, he whispered. Pastor Colley tried to counsel Henry on how to get over his addiction. He stared at 2 writing tablets resting on an oak and glass coffee table. The tablets were a similar idea he suggested to Henry for help. His treatment, which started 3 months ago, was a bit different. One of them dealt with the mental process of self-forgiving, and the other praising God for a variety of blessings in his life. Pastor Colley could not let go of self-pity and guilt, no different than Henry turned to alcohol. It was like his personal elixir. Just as Henry turned to the bottle for relief, the pastor turned to guilt. For some reason, it helped. I gotta get over this, Pastor Colley said. Tired of living with this burden. I'm tired, he sighed. Sipped more of the warm chocolate and thought, please, help me. A loud knock at the door woke Pastor Collie from his slumber. He didn't realize he had fallen asleep for a few minutes. The warm cup of chocolate was in his hand and he spilt a little with the knock at the door. Pastor Collie assumed it was thunder, but once the knock came again, he knew it was a person. He put his cup next to the tablets and didn't even think to look out the window. He assumed someone went to the wrong house or a hysterical parishioner came by. Collie figured it could not have been the kids vandalizing the place. His home, with the neatly trimmed yard, good painting society, and a garden gnome dressed as a basketball player, certainly gave the look of people living there. "Here I come," Pastor Collie called. He didn't bother to check the eye hole and opened the door. "Listen, I don't need a thump on the head," stopped Pastor Collie from continuing. He staggered back and tried to pull himself together when the figure rushed him. Pastor swung his elbow and caught the side of the man. The intruder made a guttural sound. "There's more of that," Pastor Collie stated. The intruder didn't make a noise but was able to turn Pastor Collie quickly on his stomach so he couldn't see his face. Pastor Collie struggled to take another swing when a powerful blow to the head nearly knocked him unconscious. The minister tried to push him off and stand but immediately tumbled down. His head ached, and a trickle of warm blood started down his forehead and onto his cheek. Could my wife be right? Pastor Collie thought. He was in pain and forced himself to stand. The intruder was gone, but there was a strong dizzy feel. Because of the blood, Pastor Collie knew he was not imagining being attacked. He picked up a tablet to use as a weapon and then shook his head. He dropped it and headed for another room to get something better. Pastor Collie assumed it was a gun or something hard that hit him in the head and almost knocked him out. He looked around his living room and the hall leading to the kitchen. Better weapons in there, he thought. His leg felt heavy and that made him pause a bit. Come on, Clayton. You can do this, he thought. Pastor Collie summoned some energy to move fast as possible to the kitchen. It took a second, but he realized that there was a tumbling noise coming from the other room. He could hear the intruder walk down the stairs and stop. You can take whatever you want, Pastor Collie yelled. Just leave me in peace. No response. Pastor Collie was in the kitchen and grabbed a knife. His instincts told him to stay away and wait. But if the stranger had a gun, what good was standing around do, he figured, to move and surprise the invader. Pastor Collie crept around the kitchen table and quietly made his way into the dining room. A sudden noise crashed through just beyond the sunroom and into the front area. Pastor Collie raced into the area where he heard the noise. The knife was held high. Pastor Collie came into the room hoping to catch the home invader and stop him from doing harm. Instead, what he saw were 2 tablets and his mug crash into the side of a wooden statue and the bookcase. He was tricked. Pastor Collie turned around, got punched in the back, dropped the knife, and fell to the ground. An all-black pillowcase was forced around his head. He could breathe but felt trapped. The intruder tied the pillowcase around his neck and began to pull on him. The black velvet pillowcase was Collie's favorite, but made seeing through it impossible. Pastor Collie fought the intruder's grasp but was rewarded with a hit in the back. There was a pause in the action and another blow to his head. The last hit was hard and the pastor began to lose conscience. Only a few moments ago he was worried about feeling guilty. Now his thoughts was on survival. He tried to muster the strength to stand and fight but couldn't. He felt the grip of his captor grab him once more under his shoulder and lift him to his legs. The cool wind wiped through the blue and steel gray pajamas he was wearing. Pastor Collie was not prepared to leave in such a hurried manner. He was forced from his home and thrown into the passenger seat of the car. Before losing consciousness, he whispered, I love you, Abigail. Shut up, the intruder said in a rough voice. The intruder shoved the pastor and slammed the door. He was hoping not to die and fought the urge to sleep. The last hit in the head was too much, and he only remembered hearing the purr of the engine and the movement of the car.